reference.
Yeah, as like a reference.
Yeah.
And here you go.
So appreciate this.
Okay, I have a timer for us. So I will start it when you're ready with the 12 minutes, and then I'll set a second one for the Q&A.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, Marcus and Olivia. We are so excited to be here with you today. My name is Smriti.
I'm Sean.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Rima.
We know things have been a little difficult for you financially lately, but we have a plan that will take you from where do we even start to we've got this. So let's dive right in.
So the 5 key goals you outlined for us were to buy a home near Brighton, create a joint budget, start a retirement plan, plan the next steps for your vehicle lease, and to reduce your debt as much as possible. Today we'll be addressing these along with other key concerns and what your next move should be. To make this process more digestible, we've created a financial roadmap for you. Using a tool like this will make it much easier for you to define your goals, evaluate what steps need to be taken next, and plan better for the future. So our first stop is recognizing your current financial situation. Currently, the two of you earned a combined income of $127,000 a year. However, you are losing thousands towards avoidable expenses, such as dining out, sports betting, and paying back high interest loans. By acknowledging and adjusting these expenses, you will better be able to accomplish your goals. So stop 2. What matters the most? Right now, if you shift your money and your focus from those frivolous expenses towards things like paying off your debt, starting a savings plan, owning equity, and budgeting with intent, we can guarantee that before you know it, your family will be financially thriving. So we'll get into the specifics now.
Now let's dive into how you can budget for the life of your dreams. To get started, we suggest you guys combine accounts to simplify finances and budget together towards shared goals. We also suggest you file taxes jointly, as you'll pay less overall taxes and qualify for higher deductions and a child tax credit of $2,000 a year. So using the 2025 progressive tax brackets, we found annually you'll pay around $18,000 in taxes, which means each month your net pay will be a little over $9,000. So let's sit down really quick and evaluate what you're losing out on, which can include both actual costs and opportunity costs. So Marcus, by not investing in your 401k, you're losing out on employer matches, which is essentially free money you must take advantage of. We also noticed that each of you are eating out around 8 times a week, which is contributing significantly to your cash outflow. We suggest reducing this by just eating more home-cooked meals, and although we know you don't enjoy it, you could try taking some cooking classes together or some simpler or more fun recipes. Marcus, you also have a misconception that health savings accounts have a use it or lose it policy, but this is actually not the case. The funds roll over from year to year, so by not saving into this triple tax advantage savings account, you're potentially losing out on $315 in tax benefits. So this all adds up to around $31,174 a year, which can finance a car without any loans. So now let's look at the gains you can strive for. Contributing to a 401k, refinancing loans, and cutting discretionary are all ways you can turn these losses into gains. Bundling auto and home insurance under the same company can also qualify you for multi-policy discounts if you have the same policy limit. We also suggest that you try to improve your credit scores by paying bills on time, which can save you thousands through improved rates. So here we compare your current or old budget to our new proposed budget. Needs increase by a bit, primarily due to the fact that you're shifting from renting a place to owning a home. We also put a lot more towards savings and debt and decrease the amount towards wants. Although this doesn't align with the generally recommended 50-30-20 rule, where 50% goes to needs, 30% goes towards wants, and 20% goes towards savings and debt, we believe your current financial situation is pretty tight and not really conducive for such a strict distribution. However, in the long run, after sorting out your expenses, we'll be sure to return to this optimal level. So here we have a pie chart breaking down our proposed monthly budget. In here we included things like life insurance policy, HSA contributions, retirement savings, and cutting discretionary.
Now we will look at how to tackle your debt. Although paying off so much debt may seem like an impossible task, we will go step by step to address this. First, Marcus, you need to cut back on your discretionary spending and set aside about $500 a month to pay off your Chase card in about 9 months. Next, you should settle with a debt collector to pay off about 60% of your debt as a lump sum payment, as debt collectors buy your debt from lenders for pennies on the dollar, and they will make a profit even if you don't pay off the full amount. The money to pay off this debt will come from your bank savings. For Olivia, you will first need to use the money from your tax return to pay off your Amex card in full. Then you should refinance your loan at 6% interest rate for 7 years at about $325 a month with SoFi. Both of you can enroll your subsidized loans in SAVE plans, which are loans based on family size and income. Although this is a 20-year term, you can always contribute more as you become more financially stable. Finally, to address the car situation, you will need to sell your Ford Explorer. We found that one with similar age and mileage will sell for about $30,000, and the remaining $5,000 that needs to be repaid can be refinanced with a local credit union, as they're often more lenient. We will address a new car later.
Now for retirement. As mentioned before, Marcus, you really need to take advantage of your 50% employer match. Both of you also need to start investing in retirement early, as in right now, to take advantage of the compounding returns. You can also consider fixed contributions and percentage-based contributions. Regarding how to manage your retirement savings, Marcus, your 401k can be professionally managed, but Olivia, you'll need to manage your Roth IRA on your own. We recommend taking the money out of the municipal income bonds, as your Roth IRA is already tax advantaged, so it's not necessary for another tax advantage asset. We suggest looking into something like a target date fund, which essentially automatically allocates your assets into more conservative ones as retirement approaches. Here we have an example of the Vanguard one with target retirement in 2060. Or you could always opt for the traditional index funds, like of the S&P 500, and mix in some bonds to diversify risk. So here we assume fixed monthly contributions from both of you that suit your current financial situation until you're 32, which is a good financial turning point. Then Marcus, you'll start investing 12% of your income annually, assuming a 2% annual raise. Olivia, you'll start investing $7K a year, which is the contribution limit for a Roth IRA. And here we also assume a 7% annual return. So if you retire at 65, Marcus, your 401k is projected to have over $2 million. And Olivia, your Roth IRA is projected to have over $1 million. Except Marcus, you'll need to pay taxes when withdrawing this money, and Olivia, you won't.
And now let's get into the fun part, how to fund your dream lifestyle. With the $10,000 you already have saved, along with your parents' generous matching contribution, you will have $20,000 available for your down payment. This allows for you to comfortably afford this beautiful home in Brighton, Michigan that is perfect for a growing family like yours and close to your parents. Utilizing an FHA loan, you'll be looking at around a monthly payment of $2,118 at a 15-year mortgage. You'll also be responsible for PMI insurance, which is private mortgage insurance, because you are not putting down 20% of the home's purchase price. This will run you around $258 a month. Once 20% of the home's purchase price has been reached, this will go away. A great part about this property is that there are no HOA fees, which gives you a little bit of extra leeway in your monthly budget. Now, in terms of addressing your auto situation, we have a plan that will help you decide what to do when you sell your Ford Explorer and for what happens when, Olivia, you end your lease. Starting off with you, Marcus, once you refinance your current loan with the local credit union, we recommend purchasing a used 2017 GMC Terrain for around $15,000. This is a reliable, fuel-efficient SUV that is much more budget-friendly. When you combine the new $15,000 loan with the old $5,000 remaining from selling the Ford Explorer, you'll be looking at a monthly payment of around $332 at 6% APR for 72 months. This is saving you a whopping $230 a month. Now, as for you, Olivia, we recommend that you do not renew your lease. Instead, try carpooling with Marcus or coworkers until you go on maternity leave. Once your lease ends, we recommend investing around $300 a month into a savings account. That way when you get back to work, you'll have a few $1,000s available for a down payment on a new used car. We recommend a used 2021 Chevy Malibu at around $15,000 at the same financing terms as the GMC Terrain. This saves you $122 a month.
Well, we reached our final stop, so we'll do a little bit of review and give you some advice on how you can stay on track with this budget. First, we recommend only keeping 2 to 3 entertainment services, such as Netflix and Prime. After you've paid off most of your debt, we recommend reverting to the 50-30-20 plan. And to reiterate that, it is a 50% plan. 50% of your budget will go towards needs, 30% towards wants, and 20% towards savings. We recommend tracking your expenses with a shared budgeting app or platform. And finally, incorporating autopay into your purchases will maximize your credit score. In the next year or so, you will need to consider the following future expenses. We recommend allocating $652 a month towards childcare resources, and eventually contributing $250 a month towards their college fund. After Olivia's lease expires, $300 a month can be saved for a new car, and we definitely recommend saving $500 a month to a high-yield savings account as an emergency fund.
Additionally, Marcus, we know that you are interested in the idea of pursuing side hustles, and some of the most lucrative and enjoyable ones include vlogging and filming sports content. Who knows, this might be a real hit with the digital world. Okay, that was a lot of information, but let's try to sum it all up. We were able to find you a home near Brighton, close to your parents, create a reliable joint budget, begin your retirement plan your next steps for your vehicle leases and selling off the Ford Explorer, and completely erase debt within your life in a few years. We are so excited for this next step in your life, and we hope to continue following along your journey. Thank you so much, and do you have any questions?
I have a question. For household and health, I was looking for expenses for the baby. Do you guys break that? Not childcare, but other expenses like baby food, diapers, and just miscellaneous. Is that baked into this budget at all?
Well, we kind of incorporated it into like the childcare expenses on the future expenses slide. Of course, it doesn't like include everything, but some of that could be like added a bit to like Marcus and Olivia their own grocery expenses. But here,
So, how many days a week are you figuring for childcare?
yeah, so well, they said they wanted, I think, 2 days a week in childcare.
Well, we are hoping. My parents have not yet committed. So, how much do you think childcare is going to cost? Because that $652 might cover diapers, food, clothing, medicine, but that is not childcare. So, how am I going to get childcare paid for?
So I think that the $652 a month, it was covering the 2 days a week of childcare, assuming that your parents would be willing to put in the time to help take care of your baby when it comes. For the additional equipment and resources, as it kind of varies from child to child, we were hoping that that would be something that you guys could consider, and maybe if it wasn't time for you to like maybe start investing $500 a month into your emergency fund, maybe it could come away from that until your finances have stabilized a little more.
Right, and then for our bank accounts, do you have any suggestions there?
For combining bank accounts, I mean, you could consider like Fidelity, they have many great options. But we just really recommend combining accounts as like you guys have a lot of shared expenses. So it's really easy to track like who's doing what instead of like being separate and being all over the place, since there could be a lot of moving parts.
That is so much to manage because Marcus has a gambling problem, okay? And I don't want to get caught up in his activities and just putting all the, I mean, do you recommend any, I mean, is it just one account that you're recommending? But, and then how do I manage his gambling that he's doing? Because I don't want him to raid the account.
Yeah. So actually what we're recommending is that Marcus just cut the gambling, because we believe that there's like really better usages for this money, and it's not necessarily the best way. But we believe there's like other ways Marcus can pursue like his hobby in sports. For instance, like through his side hustle, like building sports content or like creating online media like that.
Yeah, and in terms of the bank accounts, while there will be one joint checking account, you will have separate accounts for your retirement, with Marcus having a 401k and Olivia, you're going to be having your Roth IRA. And then with the emergency fund, that will be a separate savings account that, yes, both of you will have access to, but if Olivia, you wanted to monitor your checking account and your savings account to make sure that Marcus isn't kind of getting back into his old gambling habit, that's what we would definitely recommend. And that would also be what a budgeting app would be really useful for, because that's like a really easy way to kind of keep track of your expenses.
I have a question on the MSRP of the 2017 GMC that you guys suggested for us to get, with rolling in $5,000 from basically the negative equity of the other vehicle you wanted us to sell. Marcus is Marcus's. What is the MSRP
think
So
it's
what's the
6,400.
child?
Yeah.
So when you add the
That's the
15,000.
purchase price.
I think it was a little over $15,000. But recently I was looking. I just turned 17, so I was looking at purchasing cars, and we were originally going to go with a car from Carvana, and my dad was the one doing all the haggling, and they were pretty lenient with getting the prices down. So I think if you guys kind of did more research into cars and like why specifically this is the car you want and things like that, I'm sure you'd be able to get it to a price that's below $15,000.
I also think if you really are not flexible with the price, I think you could go to other car markets like maybe Facebook Marketplace, or maybe even like buying a car off of like a friend, because obviously on these like direct buyer and seller connections you can you have more like leverage with negotiating your prices.
I'm basically trading in a new car that I know the mileage on, I know how it was taken care of to buy a used car. I'm only saving $10,000, and that used car, I don't know if they kept up on the oil changes, I don't know if the transmission's about to go, so how am I going to make sure that that car is, with a newborn, going to be a secure car?
I think that's one great thing about Carvana. I'm not including things like Facebook Marketplace and stuff, but with Carvana, there's a tab that shows the vehicle's complete history. So things like oil changes, transmission, how the engine's doing, if it has recently gone for like a part change and stuff like that. So in that sense, you'll be able to kind of monitor and see, okay, is this car, going to be suitable for a growing family? And if not, there are plenty of other options that you could find. This is just one thing that we saw and we were like, okay, this would be great for you because it's an SUV just like the Ford Explorer, and it's more fuel efficient, so you will be saving a little bit on gas. But yeah, if there was anything else that you wanted in a car, you could always go back to Carvana and look for something at a similar price point.
And kind of just adding on to that, you can also, if you're truly like skeptical, you could take it to like a third party, like for an inspection, and even like sometimes on Marketplace or Carvana, you could take the car for a test drive before you actually buy it to really like ensure that this car is good.
So how much was her lease payment currently? Her current lease payment was, I'm trying to remember.
Her lease was $154.
Okay. So that, it couldn't have been that, where I can see your savings at 333, okay. And then, did we talk about the child for, any future planning for the child?
Like college and things like that.
Well, first, after like you've stabilized like your finances, 529 would be like a great savings account to start preparing for like the child's college tuition. Yeah, so I feel like that's a good way. After, of course, you become stable with your finances, since there's other priorities like the emergency fund and paying off debt. So yeah, the 529 would be like a really good plan to start considering.
And then can you tell me how I can use that 529 account? Are there limits to it, or can I go to any school? What if they wanna go to trade school, or they don't go to college, like what happens to the money?
So for 529, you're gonna be investing. It's gonna be someone else is gonna manage.
You don't have to answer that, we are out of
Okay.
time. Alright, thank you guys very,
Thank you
very
so
much.
Thank you so much.
It was really great to meet you.
Thank you.
so
It was
much
great
for
to meet
coming.
Very nice.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the team name.
Huron.
Huron.
Okay.
Okay.